352 Southeast Division.
We have a really good story to tell at the Vancouver Police Department, and that's what we do to engage our public and to show them what we are doing for them. We simply, through our public affairs section and the good work of officers, tell our story.
Cameron Ward, I'm a lawyer here in Vancouver, and I've been practicing in British Columbia for about 26 years. Ever since about 1997, I've become a bit of a lightning rod for citizens who have had complaints about alleged police misconduct, and so quite a bit of my legal work these days involves claims like that. It's very difficult. They defend these cases very vigorously. They have unlimited resources with which to defend themselves. They're not inclined to admit liability or fault. And so you tend to have to go right to the end and hope that once the case is finally in front of a judge, that the judge will see it the right way.
I think the BCCLA can help people improve their relationship with authority by ensuring that authority is accessible and accountable to the people. One of the things that we emphasize in a democracy is that in order for the power that the people give to government to be legitimate, there needs to be accountability back to the people. My name is David Eby. I'm the Executive Director of the BC Civil Liberties Association. The relationship between the two, between the governed and the government, is broken. And so the BCCLA plays a very critical role in making sure that connection between the two is strong. We have a number of concerns in relation to police accountability, both generally and specifically in relation to the Vancouver Police Department. Generally, in British Columbia, we're still in a situation where if someone dies as a result of something a police officer did, a police-involved death, that the police investigate themselves. This is a conflict of interest, we feel, because people at least have the perception that police officers would not investigate each other as rigorously as they would investigate a member of the public.
You know, the bottom line here is we have to maintain public trust. That's our goal, that's our desire, is to maintain public trust. And whatever system exists in future, if it's different from what we have now with the public complaints and the oversight by the OPCC, then we'll follow that system. But the reality is, to maintain public trust, you have to be open and you have to be transparent and you have to provide the facts as they exist. And that's what we do now, and that's what we'll always do.
I strongly believe that it's important to have civilian oversight of the police so that they feel that there are people watching their actions, that they are constrained in what they do, because they have enormous power.
The Office of the Police Complaints Commission has contemporaneous oversight on our internal investigations. So they have access to reports, they can offer direction throughout an investigation, ask for more investigation to be done.
What we have right now is something called civilian oversight.
Civilian oversight.
Which means that the police go and they do their whole investigation, they investigate themselves.
They're either police officers from the very same department, or perhaps they're police officers from an adjacent area. That's a real problem.
They put it all in a nice package and they send it up to the PCC, and the PCC flips through it and says, you know, we'd like for you to do other things or whatever, but ultimately the people who are asking the questions, the people who are gathering the evidence, are all police officers.
You should make a point of knowing what your rights are, because sometimes the police will ask you for things that they're not entitled to ask you about, and you should firmly but politely assert your rights in those circumstances.
We want to recognize when we've made a mistake, and we want to be out there in front of that open and transparent. When we mess up, we fess up.
It's that unquestioning faith in authority figures that we try to get away from. I don't really want to paint a picture where government is always the opposing force. I mean, a lot of what government does we really like. It's very important in terms of facilitating our democracy. Police do a lot of important work in terms of answering the 911 calls when we need them to, but they screw up too. And there needs to be someone out there holding them accountable and making sure that they recognize the mistakes and learn from the mistakes and change them so they don't happen again.
I think it's up to all of us really to be vigilant to ensure that when we hear about issues that concern us, and I think, for example, of a few recent high-profile cases, that we speak our minds and we advocate for ways that we can improve the relationship between police and the public. Bottom line is, as I said before, I respect the work of the police. They do difficult, often dangerous work that many of us wouldn't want to do. And it's so important that we are able to place our trust in them. And it's so important, I think, that when they breach that trust on those odd occasions, that there is some way to hold them accountable. Because if there's no accountability, then the trust will be gone.